Hello biodiversity team, this is Jerome L. Montemayor and this is BiodiversiTalks, where we have conversation on biodiversity conservation with the most celebrated nature advocates and champions in the ASEAN region. Joris?
Hi Edie. Hi, I'm Joris Tupas and today we are honored to feature another face of biodiversity. Having worked in the sector for many decades, he is one of the Philippines' most seasoned government official working on environmental conservation. A forester by profession, he was one of the top-notchers when he took the board exam. In fact, he was top 2 and is a proud alumnus of the University of the Philippines, Los Baños.
Friends, let us welcome Forester Marcial Amaro Jr. or ASEC Mars to his colleagues and friends. Join us for another exciting episode of Biodiversity Talks.
Forestry is foreign to me until I was one of the fortunate graduating high school students to be recruited by the forestry campus noon. We had this first innovative forestry career orientation course. It's like a recruitment program. We were introduced to forests and forestry. And as they say, this story started from that introduction. So when I filled up this form sa UPCAT, I registered that I'm interested in forestry. So that's it. But I guess that 3-week period provided for a very good introduction of the importance of forest, the dimensions that they have presented in terms of the importance of those handling this course, particularly forest resources management, biological sciences. We also have the industries then. We don't have it now. And of course, what I consider as important is forestry education and extension. So on the part of me joining the government, I'd say I did not join the government. The government asked me to join after graduation. We were one of the fortunate graduating students which were provided with good opportunities for employment. So I initially have entertained the option of joining the private because when we graduated, the industry is still quite vibrant, and we even have this professor and dean who were recruiting us to become logging supervisors in the logging industry then. I remember PCOP. For those who are old in the industry, in the profession, PCOP is the flagship employment opportunity. But I opted to join the government because first, being a product of the UP system, public education system, I think I ought to give back to the government. I'll be leaving the government after over 44 years. I think in this more than 4 decades with the government, I was one among those employees and officials later on, which could be considered as fortunate. I was exposed first with policy planning work, then later on implementing the policies, programs that we have, and being exposed in many sectors, especially in the latter part when I become supervisor of the Forest Management Bureau, the Ecosystems Research and Development Bureau, and lastly, the Biodiversity Management Bureau. So basically, my fondest memory was really dealing with people on a regular basis at the front lines. I was first fielded from my central office assignment as a provincial officer, Penro, in Cotabato. And many would raise eyebrows when you mention Cotabato, especially in the late 90s, because, you know, things are quite different there. It's not as peaceful as it is now, but I see it as a challenge. In fact, I consider it as my New York. You know, as the song goes, if I can make it there, I can make it anywhere. And indeed, it's true. And during my work as a Penro, because I've been in the central office before being fielded in Cotabato, I know what would be the requirements. And when this notice of a presidential visit, cabinet meeting came in Cotabato, in Kidapawan, which is the capital, we were informed that there are 2 agenda items for the President during that particular visit. And it was during President Ramos's time. So I did the complete staff work for 2 assignments, which later resulted to the President signing no less the 2 proclamations for the 2 work I'd done. So it doesn't mean that it ended there, but I did all the work up to the endorsement by the Secretary then to the President. And this came out as Presidential Proclamation, if I'm not mistaken, 880 for the Mount Apo Natural Park as proclamation. And this one is trailblazing because the 881, the other proclamation, was declaring Cotabato Provincial Forest and Ecotourism Park. I could consider that as the most challenging and the most memorable in terms of how you recognize the demands, the challenges, the limitations, and come up with some innovative work to address these concerns. And my regional executive director then was very happy because of this thumbs up. President Fidel Ramos only has this thumbs up for good work done. And for the DNR was standing very proud that day. So there are other works. I know it's also in Cotabato where and it has not been equal to this date when I really secured a loan from a bank for us to acquire motorcycles for our forest protection officers and land inspectors because we are challenged with mobility. We cannot run after those engaged in illegal activity because we don't have vehicles. But because of this work with the manager of the development bank, I was able to secure a loan. So, not to mention, I have a living testament of our work there. The Penro building there is my work. Without any budget, but because of, sabi nga, kapal ng muka, going through those with aggregates, local officials, asking for donation and the like, we were able to complete the Penro building without devoted budget or allocated budget in 5 months' time. So it's really a very good challenge if you're on the ground and you see the needs being represented by the many faces that you see every day regularly, and try to change how they look at you because you are able to make a difference and really come up with the changes. Everybody should be engaged in conservation work. Of course, depending on your competencies, qualifications, and your abilities. So the entire citizenry should be part of conservation work. But having been exposed to all these sectors in various assignments, I'd say that what remains inadequate is the work of the media. Because I think it starts with knowing whatever. So once you know what you're supposed to know, it's easy to disseminate information, influence others, and the like. But somehow, especially now that we even have wrong information, sometimes tampered information, so I believe they can help a lot. Still a lot of potential for media to enhance their work. They should be all over the place, going through all the works, particularly of the department, and not those that just would project or assign higher importance to an activity or to a project at the expense of others. So there should be balanced approach because, as we all know, now that we have all this nexus We have now these interactions, unlike before that these are all silos. You know, iba yung environment, iba yung biodiversity, iba yung lahat. But now you see the link, the important link. So they should be highlighting this link and not trying to stay within their comfort zone and just to perhaps mouthpiece what they have been telling all the while. I think regardless of the likely outcomes, implications or consequences, you have to tell the people the real thing. So we cannot claim success in really informing the public and in engaging them, because if you are unable to inform them, it's very difficult to engage them, because the question is, what's in it for us? So if they can relate by way of communication, very effective communication, that this affects you, this is dependent on you, and you are a very important factor in ensuring that this would be successful, then we still have status quo even in the many years to come. All sectors are important in biodiversity conservation. So unless we are able to engage all sectors, somehow we were not successful in our mandate. Based on my experience, if we have to focus on biodiversity conservation, both national and globally, we have come a long way. The maturity came up when we have these laws enacted. We have the NIPAS as early as 1992, and we have the NIPAS, we have the Wildlife Act, and hopefully some more laws that would be, say, for caves, we already have a law, but for wetlands and other ecosystems, I think we need the law, because unless there is this law, we cannot engage important elements outside of the department. We already have this, but there are still elements that are lacking and could be addressed by laws in terms of tying up all the critical stakeholders. And I'd say that my hopes are, first, I'm very happy that we already have the PENCAS Act. We have the Philippine Ecosystem Natural Accounting, Capital Accounting System Act, and that provided for a perhaps a formal, official, and rigid process where we can really at least account for the metes and bounds of our resources. Second is, this may come a long way because somehow in the past there are efforts, yung valuation. I think my hopes is after the PENCAS, and fortunately the ceremonial signing of the IRR is also today, this morning, with the Philippine Statistics Authority. So with the valuation, this is for me still the missing element, because unless you are able to assign values to all this that you are able to account for physically, kumbaga, it would be very difficult to say first leverage resources. Kasi it's like we are given this on budget because we don't know how much worth of the resources that we are managing. But if we are able to value our resources, and that's where I assign high hopes. Now, hopefully sooner or later we will have this methodology system that would provide for valuation up to the last peso, so that we can always demand for higher budget in engaging resources that are needed to protect the area. And on the other side, sanction people who are destroying the environment because this is the worth and not the market price, because there are resources which do not have mature market. My hopes are first that there is improvement in terms of our being able to get our communication across and engage the people and everybody in terms of knowing the respective shares in the managing, and later on for us to know the value of our, not just of our biodiversity, but of our resources in terms of their ecosystem services and potential worth, so that we will not proceed with activities that would compromise their existence or their ability to provide for the services that they have been assigned when we had this creation early on. So basically, those are what I considered as hopes for biodiversity, and hopefully this time we have more people engaged in biodiversity conservation, not just in the field of negotiation, because I know there are so many organizations who are very noisy, very, I'd say, who have interest in just having their quota for their organizations to be reflected in what they inputted in the discussion, but for them to really do work on the ground. First, we need our lawmakers to ensure that we already have all the laws that would serve as basis for us to do the hard work on the ground. My frustration as a forester is that we still operate under the 1975 law. And what year is it now? It's 2025. So 25 plus 25 is a 50-year law. And that law provides for commercial exploitation. We no longer have commercial exploitation because we no longer have commercial forests in the quantity that are needed. But then our forest continues to shrink because there is no law that is updated. So unless there is this law that would provide for incentives, security of tenure, and perhaps being inclusive in terms of everybody able to participate, then things would really not go the way in terms of our biodiversity conservation for our forest. So, but for the rest, I guess we're now having efforts on the oceans, which to me is more challenging because it's beyond what you can do and see regularly, and sometimes there are challenges in terms of you even being able to be there in the first place. Leaving the department officially, I remain hopeful that we will see major changes happening considering the first climate change, the triple global threat, the biodiversity loss. Pollution, I believe, has been addressed already by many programs, but the effect would come a little lower because it's very difficult to clean the environment. The environment you have dirtied for many generations or for many decades. And I think for climate change as well, because of this cumulative effect from the time you try to release greenhouse gas and the like. For biodiversity, I guess, and I hope we have not gone beyond the threshold, except for those species that have become extinct already. I have been with the group for 20 years. Starting with the ASEAN Senior Officials on Forestry and later on the ASEAN Senior Officials on Environment. I have seen the evolution of the working groups trying to grapple with environmental issues and natural resource issues as well. And I guess just like biodiversity conservation, which is inclusive of the work of the ASEAN, we were able to provide for progress in terms of addressing these issues. But I think while we are able to address some of the issues, new issues emerge and somehow these become more complicated. But I guess what is working strongly for the ASEAN is that we have shown our coherence and our dedication of working together to address these problems. So while we are 10 countries right now, and well, another one soon to join us, subject to some administrative concerns and requirements, we are hopeful that we are able to first come up with a common appreciation, understanding of the problem that are confronting us individually and collectively as a region, and try to identify and be successful in coming up with workable solutions. So while there may be some issues that remain for us to solve based on our experience, I guess this should not provide for a heavier weight in terms of our being able to move forward. Otherwise, things would slow us down and be unable to uh, be there and deliver to the world that our region is a progressive region, considering the wealth that we have in terms of population, biodiversity, and perhaps our commonality in terms of our culture and common history as far as the region is concerned. So I'd say that it has been an honor and a great privilege to have contributed, to have served in the ASEAN process, and hopefully we'll be able to see our investments in terms of a progressive ASEAN in the years to come. Thank you. I am Asek Mars, and I am ASEAN Biodiversity.
So that's it, Biodiversity team. You have heard from Asek Mars, one of the true icons of biodiversity conservation in the Philippines. Thank you for joining us in this episode, and we wish Asek Mars all the best in his future endeavors.
So before we end Biodiversity, we would like to invite you all to like and follow our social media channels, which are flashed on your screen. And thank you. We hope you see you again in our next episode. Bye!